It's time to take full control of your Gmail. In this video, you'll learn how to organize and manage your inbox using labels and filters. To help you learn these skills, we encourage you to have your Gmail open in a separate tab. We'll display this icon when it's a good time to pause and practice the skills mentioned on your own before moving on to further content. Are you ready to revolutionize the way you experience Gmail? Let's begin. Think of labels as folders for your email and filters as parameters that you set to store past, present, and future emails into these labels. By filtering emails into different labels, you not only keep things organized, you also do yourself a service by better representing your emails visually. Just look at the difference between this unlabeled inbox and this labeled one. Let's get more familiar with how to access, manage, and create labels. Believe it or not, if you've ever clicked on your inbox, you've already used a label. Gmail is preset with these system labels that are provided to get you started with organizing your messages. This area to the left of your Gmail is called the label list. To the right, where we view messages, is the message list. These terms will be referred to often as we begin managing and creating our labels. There are many ways to manage your labels. The first is to use the settings icon in the top right of your screen and navigate down to settings. Click the labels heading. In this view, we see our system labels, categories, and created labels. Remember that system labels are those provided by default. These cannot be deleted, but you have the option to show or hide these labels in the label list area of your screen. The inbox label will always be shown, but notice that when I hide my starred label, it disappears from my label list. I can display it again by choosing Show. Some labels let you hide it from the label list unless there is unread mail within the label. Let's hide all of our labels except for our inbox. We can similarly choose to show or hide our categories, which we can think of as additional labels that Gmail recommends and can be accessible via tabs in our inbox. Another way to show or hide labels and categories is to click on the drop-down box next to the label in the label list area of the screen. Let's hide our categories using this method. Now that we've simplified our label list, let's learn how to create a new label. Another way to manage and create labels is to use the More drop-down menu in the label list area. Notice that all of my labels and categories that I chose to hide can be found under this menu. At the bottom of this list, we can choose to manage labels, which brings us back to the label settings. Or we can create a new label either within the settings area or at the bottom of the labels list. Let's create a new label, give it a name, and customize the color of the label by selecting the dialog box to the right within the label list. Adding a preset or custom color to your label will help you distinguish labels from each other and will make it that much easier to organize emails. I can even create sub-labels under my created labels to stay even more organized. When you feel comfortable managing and creating labels within Gmail, I'll demonstrate just how powerful this tool becomes by providing some real-world examples. We'll also be exploring how to use filters. For our first case example, Omar is a new student at National University. After watching this video, he now knows that he can utilize the power of labels to keep his Gmail organized. In the message list area, Omar sees good news, a message notifying him that he's been accepted into National University. Omar wants to keep track of any email associated with his school. To do this, he clicks in the selection box, uses the label icon to create a new label called National University. Immediately, the new label appears in the label list to the left, and we see that the label has also been added in the message list area. Omar wants to add color to the label, so he clicks on the drop-down box to the right of his label and creates a custom color. He clicks on the label in the message list, and it brings him to the label content area. Even though he cannot see the label in the message list anymore, he knows he's viewing all emails with the National University label by looking at the title in the search bar. He views the email again with pride and then navigates back to his inbox by clicking on the inbox label at the top of the message. Back in his inbox, Omar knows that he wants all future messages from National University to be labeled in the same way. To do this, he is going to use a filter. Remember that filters are parameters that we set to assign labels to past, present, and future emails. To start with, Omar clicks on the settings icon and goes to his settings. He goes to the filters and blocked addresses heading and creates a new filter. Here, he can filter emails based on who the message is from, to whom a message was sent, keywords in the subject, and which keywords the message has or doesn't have. He can also filter messages based on the presence of attachments, chats, the size of a message, and the date. Omar wants all emails from National University to be filtered, but having forgotten the email address, he decides to navigate back to his inbox, select the email from National, and this time use the More drop-down box at the top of the message list. He selects filter messages like these, and that automatically places the email address of the sender or senders into the From criteria box. Omar then creates a filter using this parameter and chooses the appropriate action for all messages from National University. In this example, Omar selects Apply the label National University. If there were any prior messages from National University, Omar would select this box here to apply the filter to all past messages. Omar clicks Create Filter, and now any current or future message from National University will automatically be labeled. To prove this point, Omar refreshes his inbox to find more emails, one of which is from National University, and already contains the appropriate label. After repeating the same steps for all of his messages, Omar realizes that he would like to distinguish messages he gets from National University and those from Professor Clark, his history teacher. But he wants both to be grouped together. To do this, Omar will create a nested label. He first opens up his message from Professor Clark and navigates to the drop-down menu to the right of the reply button, goes to filter messages like these, creates a filter, and adds a new label called History. Before hitting OK, Omar chooses to nest this label under the National University label. As the terminology goes, National University will be the parent label, and History will nest within it as a sublabel. Let's compare Omar's inbox from before he used labels to after. As you can see, using labels not only organizes our emails, but also helps our eye quickly distinguish where each email is coming from. In our next example, we'll be reviewing some advanced techniques to transform you into a master of labeling and filtering. Sally works for National University and is a master at keeping her inbox labeled. Having just finished composing an email informing students of an upcoming event, she's ready to send her email. One way to make sure that her sent mail is organized is to attach labels before sending them. After composing her email, Sally opens up the More Options menu to the right of the trash icon and selects Label. Sally then either selects a pre-existing label or creates a new label specific to the email that she is sending. This label will not be visible to the recipients, only to her as a way of organizing her outgoing mail. Once she sends her email, she navigates to her sent label and sees that, indeed, her recent email has been labeled correctly. Now that she's finished with that, she wants to view her inbox. But Sally likes to be as efficient as possible. Because of this, she's going to turn on keyboard shortcuts that will make filtering and labeling even faster. She goes to the Settings icon. Under the General heading, she scrolls down and enables keyboard shortcuts and continues down to save her changes. Now she can get to work. She goes to Inbox by pressing G and I. Sally sees that one of her messages is starred and marked Payment. This is because Sally created a filter for any messages that have the keyword payment in the message content. She's created many filters that apply these labels as a way to quickly identify important content within messages. Sally navigates down to the payment message using her down arrow and selects the conversation using X. To open, she presses O, reads the message, and presses L to bring up her label options. Now she can sublabel this message or assign it to a different parent label if necessary. Since this message from Omar is asking when payment is due, Sally sublabels this message into the query sublabel. Sally can't remember the due date for payment, but knows that she's answered this question before. To find the answer, she goes to label by pressing G and L, starts typing payment, and goes to payment due date. Once in the sublabel, she sees a similar question to Omar's and forwards the answer. The last thing Sally needs to do today is to export her saved filters and send them to a new associate. She goes to the Settings icon and under the Filters heading, selects all filters and exports them. This creates and downloads an XML file onto your computer that can be sent and imported into any Gmail. Now others can be as organized as Sally with the click of their import button. And that's it. You're a Gmail expert now, and you have the skills necessary to organize your inbox easier than Wait, how do I do all this from my phone? Great question. Click on the next video to learn how to use these techniques on the go through Gmail on your phone.